Hello and welcome to the Amber Stitt Show. I am your host, Amber Stitt, and today we welcome the globally known speaker, humorist, author, and more. Welcome, Joel, to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited.
So I need to know, were you always considered a funny guy? Or is this like a new thing for you?
Yeah, it's just, I woke up one day, I think I ate something, and then all of a sudden I'm like really loud. And, even going back to thinking about going back, when I was younger, I remember doing a stand-up routine in 8th grade for the whole 8th grade. I mean, it's not like I was writing jokes. It was basically just kind of doing impressions of the teachers and principals, which, kills. So, yeah, I mean, I would say I was always funny, got in trouble a lot, especially if it was at a family gathering. And, I was making fun of, Uncle Oscar.
Were you showing like food while you're doing this too? Like opening your mouth behind grandma's back?
Yeah. Just doing family impressions. And it's kind of like when Spider-Man gets his powers and he doesn't know how to use them. And he just keeps running into walls. And so it took me a while to figure out how to kind of focus it. It was always out there. And sometimes it would, just be loud and expressive at the wrong times. And then once I figured out how to channel it and use it for good and not evil, it created a career. And I never planned on being a keynote speaker and MC. I didn't even know people hired keynote speakers or that it even existed. I didn't even know. And so it kind of chose me, and it was all my experiences kind of helped each other. My experiences being a journalist and a public relations professional and advertising professional, and then also doing stand-up and improv on the side. And I just kind of, all these worlds kind of connected in the mid-90s. And I say 97 was when I started, because that's when I did a video. The client was Allstate Insurance. I spoke to them. They called it an auditorium. I called it a lunchroom. And so I spoke in their lunchroom. They called it an auditorium, but there was a stage. And I recorded it, edited a little video together. And so that's when I say 97 is when I did things before that. But 97 is when I say I started. And then 2,500 events later, and now I'm on the Amber Stitt Show. Wow.
Only my grandma is watching, and people know in my audience, they know about my grandma.
I'm here. The Amber Stitt Show. Are you kidding me?
Well, I met you at an MDRT, $1 Million Roundtable conference, one of the biggest ones, one of their best ones.
Yeah.
If we're going to pick from what I've seen.
Yeah.
And I guess part of the deal was to be able to bring some heavy metal to the stage. So was it a requirement for you to collaborate with a drummer? No, for the audience, we had this amazing collab that was like a super surprise, and you were a part of that. So it's pretty fascinating you get to live that life. So let's talk about MC life.
I would say 80% of my business is as a keynote speaker, and about 20% is at an MC. And that's where we met, at the MDRT, and I was the MC. And it's really the same energy. And sometimes I get to use some of my keynote elements as an MC, but it's just about just creating energy and fun and connecting with the audience, engaging, making sure everybody's having an awesome time. And it's awesome because it's just a totally different animal than the keynote animal, where you come in, you do a keynote, you're, 60 minutes, boom, you're gone. And MC, you get to spend 2-3 days with the audience, and you really connect to them and you really learn about them. And it's fun because those connections can create these really incredible moments on stage, these unique, amazing, just moments of perfection that you're looking for, that everybody has this unique experience and laughs at this one joke that only can happen with this group at this time, at this moment. And it just makes it a fun, exciting event. And I love doing it. I love both. They're just two different, one's an apple and one's an orange, but I love both.
That's nice that you can mix it up.
You connect more as an MC because you spend more time with the client. And that's a lot of fun because you get to know them on a more personal level. And that's a lot of fun. And it's inspiring too, to meet so many incredible people. It's energizing as an MC because you're seeing a lot of other speakers and connecting with them. Not all of them are great. Some of them are not good. And some of them are awesome. And you become friends and they inspire you and they energize you. And so you kind of make that connection.
Well, you have a gift of taking the group, we'll call it the industry event, and you come back for usually repeats. I've seen that you have multiple clients that you come back, and then there's this storyline. You learn about them. You know who the main people are. You get people in the audience, and then you keep building on that. So the next day you show up and you're talking about the night before and this or that. There's definitely a linking that just tells the story that doesn't stop until people leave.
Yeah.
Why do you think that's so important for companies to have that for their teams?
I think it's connection, it's engagement. And I think it's important to have that. A lot of companies don't think the MC is a critical part of their event, and they get Bob from accounting to do it. And Bob can't create it. Bob's job is not to create energy. Bob's job is to try to, Bob's a mess.
Bob is like pushing everyone to the cocktail hour because we want Bob to stop talking.
Yeah, Bob doesn't care. And especially if there's an awards presentation, I love when clients hire me to MC their awards presentation. They tell me what they did last year. And it was like Bob from HR or Karen from HR. I don't know why Bob and Karen are the names that come up, but and they're not professional. Like, I'm not going to come in and try to do your HR job. Don't try to do something, it's a profession, it's a skill set. And I've done, in the neighborhood of 2,500 events. And then, I've probably done, 3,000 or 4,000 improv shows and probably a couple thousand stand-up shows. And you put all this together, it's an amazing experience of being in front of different audiences. And you understand how to connect. You understand how to engage with that audience because every room is different. This group is going to be totally different than that group. What their energy is, what their mood, kind of just how they're feeling, how they're interacting. And it's your job as an MC to kind of bring that all together, figure out what's happening, and create that spirit where we're all engaged, having fun, and making that connection, because that's what it's all about. To come together, you have this opportunity that you have this room full of people, and whether you're going to entertain them, you're going to educate them, you're going to motivate them, you're going to inspire them, whatever is happening, it's a special time when you bring a group of people together to experience this as a group. And when you have that experience, it stays with you. It's this unique moment in time because this group of people are only together for this moment in time. And so as the MC, you want to create that energy and make that connection and utilize that to make it special, where they walk out of the ballroom or the event space and they go, wow, that was the best.
Yeah. It's a feeling
ever attended. And that's what it's all about. And you mentioned we met at MDRT, and it was an incredible group of people. And what was really, for me, inspiring is that it was people from all over the world.
Yeah.
I don't know how many countries were represented, 30 different countries maybe were represented. And so that is inspiring in itself, that you have people from all over the world and they're laughing together at something that you say, or they're being, the speaker, one of the keynotes, like Seb Terry was one of the keynotes. He did an awesome job of inspiring people, and that he's reaching, 500 people from 30 different countries. And a lot of people are having the keynote translated or having my jokes translated. And for
real
them,
time.
That's when the laugh comes like 10 seconds later, which is awesome. It is always awesome. And, where they find, but when you're doing something or saying something that people from around the world are all connecting and laughing at, that's to me one of the absolute greatest moments as far as being an MC or as a speaker. It's incredible. And that event was just incredibly energizing and inspiring to me to have that happen. And people come up to you and tell you how much they enjoyed it in their language and being translated. It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. I'm very lucky. I'm very fortunate that I get to do this.
Yeah. And the other thing I like about the multicultural, it's men and women from anywhere, and no one brings up anything but just having a good time, having thought leadership, and then just being happy that people are successful together. So there's some bonds that can come about that. And I figure you're also seeing them a lot of times the next year and the next year on out because of that. I think the gift that you have that can bring that connection and people ask you to come back for more. So that's great. On my show, we talk about focusing on talents, and part of your speaking experience, did it come from being a writer, journalist, or were you aware of your talents and you pulled it all together over time? It just evolved? That
would be cool. That would be really cool if that happened.
It did. Oh my gosh.
Really cool. It'd be so cool. There really wasn't a plan. sounds like I worked on something. And like Amber's like, did you plan it? And you worked at it. And you took all these skills and you outlined it and you put a presentation together. And that sounds like a tremendous amount of work. I'll tell you what happened. So I was doing improv on the weekends at a theater in Dallas. Awesome. The first weekend I moved to Dallas, I came to Dallas to work at a newspaper, the Dallas Times-Herald. I was a journalist. And so the first weekend, a friend took me to see this improv show. And it was literally like the movie where it goes, oh, the moment where the protagonist finds that one thing and the music kind of, oh, and you realize this is the moment. And I had that moment where I don't know how, I don't know why or when or what that I can perform that improv, but that's what I want to do. And so I started taking some workshops. Eventually I auditioned, got in the troupe and was performing improv. And one of my clients at that time, and then so fast forward a couple of years, I was doing PR for an agency. And one of my clients was Texas Instruments, and this group was having an executive retreat. And the client said, I know you do improv on the weekend. Can you take that improv, come up and play some of those games with us before dinner? And I'm like, yeah. I wasn't like I jumped in. It was kind of like, yeah, sure. I took another performer with me. This was all men. The audience was all men, all VP level, technology. And so they had an awesome time. More importantly, I had an awesome time. And the light bulb started flickering. And this was like, oh, maybe I can offer this to other clients. Maybe this could be something that I could do every once in a while. And just like anything, if you follow your passion and you love something, it's not work. And that's what I did. And your name gets passed around and like, oh, you should hire Joel.
Well, I was going to ask you about the improv because, you get probably through a certain series of, okay, I can do this on stage. Now add on. But you have to touch a lot of people and put a lot of people on stage together. So
when you say touch,
you can tell the audience, like you're doing, or you're the prime example and people are moving elbows, hands, and just, you're doing some silly stuff. And we can find this online. I've seen evidence of this online.
Minimal touching.
But it's so funny. And I think that's part of the team building experience is having people that would never probably do some of this stuff to have this feeling of just joy, no matter what personality style or their task at the company, they can have that collaboration and camaraderie.
Yeah. You hit upon it. First of all, I love improv. It's a passion of mine. It's tough. And so I love sharing what improv gave me and what improv taught me. I love sharing it and I love performing that improv. And so I found a way to do it and kind of share that and make a living, which is awesome. Again, following what you love to do, not worrying about whether you get paid. When I first started, if you gave me a $50 Chili's gift card, I was over the moon. I was like, it doesn't get any better than this. Are you serious? I'm going to do some improv games and you just gave me a $50 Chili's gift card and then you add on like a hoodie or like
some swag.
Oh, I'm like, are you kidding? I got a hoodie
and a koozie.
Incredible. So what I realize is that people love improv. They take to it. It's unique because one, it's unique. It's different. Two, you're performing with people in the audience, your friends, your colleagues, your mentors, your managers. That is different and unique. It's what I'm bringing to the game, my sensibility and my humor and how I interact with the people on stage. And so everybody wants to play. I don't care what type of group it is, what type of industry. People want to play. They're just not given that opportunity. And to be given that opportunity at an event, at a sales conference, at a leadership event, at a users group, at an education function for financial professionals, it just unlocks something because people want to play and they want to laugh and they want to be entertained. And today, when we talk about learning at these conferences, we talk about education. Nowadays, most audiences, they want that entertainment as part of the education.
They need the relief, like that distraction from just the stress of the job. Yeah. They just need that.
They want the interactivity. They want the engagement. And so improv is just such a unique art form and it's so much fun. And I think it's also very inclusive, is that it just allows everybody to participate. Whatever your background is, whatever your experience is, you're the CEO or entry level or middle manager, whatever industry, it includes everybody. Viola Spolin created improv at NYU in the late 30s. to teach your acting students. So improv is a teaching tool at the beginning. And so it draws on bringing people in, being inclusive, letting everybody participate, and having an ability to learn through that connection, through that engagement, whether it's learning about change or teamwork or leadership or being a better listener or being a better communicator. There's so many messages that improv focuses on. And I just kind of pick, a few to share in my keynote through playing some of the improv games.
So when you do the improv games, I've noticed there's the few that are paying attention and there's like this wild card that's like, a little more aloof. Is there always one of those in the room?
There can't. I think I know who you're talking about, Amber.
I mean, is there always one that you're like, this is the one, we got to use this?
Okay. When I do an improv game, I never know. You bring people up to the stage and I'm reading them because I want them to be successful. And I want to put them in the right role that allows them to be successful. And so, I'm talking to them. I'm kind of reading their body language because people come at it with different skill sets. And then I'm going to either have to do a lot or I'll pull back and do a little.
Just let it happen.
Just let it happen. And I have seen some absolutely spectacular, people that had no improv experience, they come up on stage and it's incredible. And you go, oh my gosh, that was amazing. And then you have some people that they might struggle a little bit, or they might do something a little bit different, make some choices that maybe you wouldn't necessarily make.
But you don't want to embarrass them because, gosh, they got on stage. That's hard for a lot of people.
And the great thing is that it works either way, whether everybody plays the game perfectly and they're incredible, or it's just complete chaos, and which I think you're referring to one of the games at the MDRT, where it's just complete chaos and just a mess. But it's a beautiful mess.
Yeah.
And improv allows for that. It's about choices. There's no right or wrong. There's just some choices are better than others. And sometimes those moments of chaos are more entertaining.
Yeah.
When everything goes wrong, can be even more entertaining.
You got to manage a lot. You're managing a lot on stage.
You're juggling a lot. And, but I've done it so many times, and I love to be surprised too, because that, as a performer, that surprise energizes you, because improv, again, when you're performing improv, you never know what's happening. There's no script. There's no plan. There's no rehearsal. So if something happens and you didn't see that coming, that's going to just energize you, and you want to take that choice and run with it. And when that happens with the audience volunteers, sometimes that is just absolutely brilliant. And I love when that happens because, again, that chaos is sometimes just so beautiful. And improv is all about just finding success during that change and disruption. And sometimes that disruption is chaos. And you just kind of find a way to get everybody on the same page, the entire team to work together and find that success through chaos.
Yeah. It's almost like the jazz of comedy.
Improv is very often compared to jazz. There is a lot of similarities.
So is there any fun story that you just go, there's this one time where it was just like your favorite moment of holy crap? There's a lot. There's like too many. It's like actually asking my brother-in-law, who's a sheriff, tell me about the latest drug deal that went down. It's like, it's just which day?
One time, Larry Hagman? So he was JR from the show Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm doing this keynote in Dallas. And so this was when they were recreating Dallas, when they brought the show back. And so they brought Larry Hagman back, and he was actually, I think, living at the hotel. And they had a big, the big suite or whatever, big presidential suite. And they said, hey, somebody was friends with Larry or knew Larry or whatever. And they said, Larry offered to come and say hello to the audience as a special, thank you. Oh, that's fantastic. The only thing is, it might be during your keynote. Would it be okay if he interrupted your keynote? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Whatever. It's, it's JR, Larry Hagman. Yeah. So I'm doing my keynote, and they're like, you'll know when he walks in the room, and we're just going to send him up to the stage. And I'm like, great. So again, a little bit of chaos. So this audience, I would say low energy. It was a big group, but the energy was low during my keynote. Okay. I hadn't made that connection. Sometimes that happens, right? Sometimes that happens. Larry Hagman comes in. I'm in the middle of whatever. I don't know. I don't remember. Larry Hagman comes in, comes up on, he's got the big hat. He's got the whole thing.
So I'm picturing him kind of cruising through.
And, he's got his belt buckle, the whole thing. The audience goes nuts. Remember, I'm talking no energy.
Quiet. Yeah.
Yeah. They were.
What industry was this?
Hello. He was like, is this microphone on? Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Larry?
I mean, that's got to happen sometimes when you're speaking. It's got to be something you've worked towards to got to have that joke or something.
Yeah. They go nuts. It was like they were at a Chippendales concert. That's what it was like.
What's the demographic here? Are we talking like
all
40,
women?
Oh, okay.
I swear, I'm pretty sure there were some bras. I'm pretty sure people were whirling bras and threw it up.
It's like 50 Shades of JR. Yeah.
And this was, I'm trying to figure out what year this was. This was right before he passed away. And so I always remember that. That was a great story. I did have a keynote the day my daughter was born.
Ooh.
You want to hear that? That's a keynote. So I had a client and they hired me to speak. It was in Dallas. And I said, my wife is pregnant. She's due around that time. They're like, what are the odds? We understand. We're going to book you and want you to still, we'll just take our chances. And I'm like, great. If something happens, I'll give you a call. And so sure enough, the day before the event, my wife goes into labor and we go to the doctor. I call the client. I say, look, she's in the hospital. Should be fine. This is like 6 o'clock.
You're not out of town because a lot of times you're out of town.
It's in Dallas. The event's in Dallas. The keynote's at like 9 a.m. It's like 6 o'clock. We're at the hospital. I'm like, no problem. We're like, okay, great. Fantastic. So the doctor's like, this could be a long labor. This is going to be a long labor. Long one.
Like,
and so, so now it's like 11 o'clock at night, not even close to this baby being born. And I call the client. I'm like, I don't know. And then it's midnight and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to be there. And then the doctor comes in and goes, we got to do a C-section. We got to go in and get that baby. And I call the client. I'm like, I'll be there. We're going to cut that baby out. And that's a true story. And so boom, baby's born right after midnight. And, we do the whole thing. About 6 o'clock, no sleep.
Oh my
gosh. I get up, go home, take a shower, and go do a keynote at 9 a.m.
Wow. And clearly your wife said that was okay. She's like, go make me some money while I'm doing this. Yeah,
we got to pay for this baby. I mean, I don't know what the insurance was, but there was a lot of out of pocket. That's there's two. I got lots of them.
Well, I really appreciate you talking through. It's not always what you expect. You go through these different positions, jobs, experiences. And I remember my husband thinking you're pretty funny and kind of fanboying. Is that the right word? Aww. After the reception, he's like trying to hang out and you're like, I got other people to talk to. So he's talking with you, but we learn your story and, just bringing some humor to life. It's almost like that should be the key to a lot of things, just to have a laugh and kind of lighten up and not always be so serious. And I think a lot of us just feel that way even after the last few years, even though I think you shared that your wife doesn't always appreciate your humor at all times.
Not anymore.
Does that ever happen?
Not anymore. Actually, you know what? You made a good point about, I'm going to bring out, I don't do this every time, Amber, but I'm going to bring out my magic harmonica. Because you mentioned something that kind of reminded me of a story. And this is the day I lost my job at the newspaper that I just moved to Dallas. And it was 6 months.
Yes, this is where I feel like you told me this at the reception. Yes, let's pull it out.
Magic harmonica. So I moved to Dallas, and then 6 months later, I was working at a newspaper, and they say, the paper's closed, come clean out your desk, you're out of a job. That was 6 months after. I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment with no furniture. I think I had a couch. I didn't have a table. I had a bed and a couch. And so they said, come clean out your desk, you don't have a job. And so I'm walking out the door and I grabbed this harmonica and I bought this harmonica. I went to a lecture in college and I don't remember the lecture. I don't remember what was happening. I'm guessing it was a harmonica player. So that's why they were selling harmonicas. So I grabbed the harmonica. It's not like I grabbed the harmonica when I walked out the door a lot. This is not one of the things I did. So I don't know why that moment in time I made this choice. And so I get down to the newspaper and people, there's all different emotions. People are sad, angry, confused. It's just a wide range of emotions. I'm single. I don't have any debt. So, I wouldn't say I was disappointed, but I wasn't, I didn't have a lot of emotion. And so the media was on the back loading dock. The cameras from the TV stations various other media. And I walk out there and I kind of look around. And remember, I just want to preface, I have no musical ability. So I'm talking to your listeners, Amber, your mom, grandma, cousin Eddie, whoever is listening.
My dogs. Yeah.
Your dogs. I have no musical ability. But a harmonica is kind of magical that allows you to at least pretend that you have some musical ability. And I can do one blues note. I can do this. That's all. So I get on the loading dock. The media's right there. And all of a sudden I pull out my harmonica and I went, I got no job. Got no money. Just moved here 6 months ago. They told me to clean out my desk. And don't ever come back. Don't ever come back. Because you lost your job. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. You got nothing. You moved here for nothing. Big mistake to move to Dallas 6 months ago. You got nothing. So it was something like that. I don't know if those were the exact words.
I don't remember this part of the story. You saved this part.
True story.
You didn't have your harmonica. That's probably why.
Actually, it was kind of like a movie moment. You could actually see the cameras and hear them go. Because, that's not the emotion they were expecting to have, this nut play the harmonica on the back loading dock the day he lost his job. And so what it taught me is that you kind of have to sometimes make a choice. And when you have a situation, I could have chosen to be upset and I could have chosen to be, despondent that I just moved here 6 months ago and I lost my job. I left a great job and now I moved to Dallas in 6 months and now I don't have a job and I'm unemployed and, it's a tough economy. It's 1991. What am I going to do? And I could have made that choice, but I chose the magic harmonica, which said, I'm going to decide how I am going to accept this moment. And I'm going to accept this moment as, this is an opportunity to take a different path, an opportunity to find a better job, an opportunity to find success. And so the magic harmonica is kind of signifying that I'm making that choice and I get to make that choice. And I'm telling the media, look, I can't control that I lost my job, but I can control how I react to it. One of my favorite messages that improv taught me is that you don't control change. You only control how you react to change. So I don't control that I lost my job. I control how I react to it. And my choice was I'm going to be energized and I'm going to have fun and I'm going to play and I'm going to lift my spirits with the magic harmonica and then see what happens. And it did. It created that energy and it kind of gave me that spirit and it made me feel better. So it was my choice in how I reacted to that. And then that night, like 2 local TV stations kicked off with me playing the harmonica. There was a huge picture of me in the other newspaper playing the harmonica. People across the country were saying, oh, I saw you play the harmonica. What was that all about? This is 1991 before social media. And so I always call it my magic harmonica moment because it's my choice in how I react. And you choose, when you choose, you don't choose, something happens to you or somebody says something or somebody does something. You only choose how you react to it. And at work, we talk about reacting, to this change and disruption, and it's our choice. And are we going to be helpful and supportive and patient and understanding? Or are we going to choose at work to be stressed and impatient and negative? It's our choice. And that's what improv teaches us. It's your choice. You don't control the change. You control how you react to change. And so that was, to me, that's what that moment signified, that magic harmonica moment of how you react to that change.
Such a good story.
No charge.
No charge.
See, it sounds like I know what I'm doing, right, Amber?
You've never learned that is the Joel special.
That is
the Joel blues. That's the Joel blues.
That's the Joel. That's the Joel lost his job at the newspaper blues. And then I got a severance check and I went skiing.
Oh, you did?
I went skiing and then I went to Las Vegas.
So you were taking it in stride. You're like, totally this is an adventure.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
We are not saying go to Vegas always with your money.
Severance check. But
maybe.
if you're single, you don't have any debt, might be a good choice to get your mind off losing your job. And, everybody's going to lose their job at one time or another. I think, it's hard to go through your work life without ever not losing a job, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it's how you react to that. It's your choice, what you're going to do next. You have a range of emotions, and I get that, and you have that moment where you're like, oh no, what am I going to do? Or what's going to happen next? And it's just about you kind of finding your way. And if that moment didn't happen, because after that moment, okay, I'm unemployed, I decided to start doing stand-up. So I found an open mic, started doing stand-up. I took a workshop at the Improv group that I eventually auditioned for and got in. So if that moment that I lost my job didn't happen, would I have started doing stand-up? Would I have taken that workshop for the Improv group and auditioned and got in that troupe and learned more and practiced that improv, and then had that moment where Texas Instruments asked me to speak to their team. And then a few years later, that Allstate Insurance, and I do a video. And then next thing you know, I have this career using improv as part of a keynote and sharing what I've learned. And all those moments happened from that moment where I lost my job and played that magic harmonica. So if that moment did not happen, would all these other moments happen? Which brought me to this moment where I'm a guest on your show, Amber. And so all of it started to me with that moment where I played the harmonica when I lost my job. And that's incredible to me. I think it's incredible.
Yeah, I think sometimes we could downplay what people are coming to us for. You were at Improv, and then the Improv got on stage for that exercise with, Texas Instruments. So pay attention to those things that are being asked of you, because that could be what you're supposed to be doing. And I think you proved that with your story.
I mean, I didn't think about, I'm going to be doing this for, 25 more years or 30 years. That happened in like 94, 95, the Texas Instruments thing. And so, we're talking about 30 years ago. And, I had no inkling that moment was going to lead to this moment. But you have to be open to those opportunities. And that's another message that improv teaches us, to be open to the opportunities, to kind of incorporate that positive support and match it with that opportunity. And you never know what's going to happen, but something magical will happen if you create that opportunity for the people around you, for the leaders that are listening to your podcast. You want to create opportunity for each other. You want to create that positive, supportive foundation for each other. And when you put those two things together, it's amazing what people can accomplish. And improv, you talked about some of the improv games and bringing people up to the stage. I just give them opportunity. And then the audience gives them positive support, and then watch what happens. You
can see the energy.
It's the same thing, for whether you're a financial advisor or you're a manager or, whatever industry you work for. We all want opportunity. We all want positive support. We don't get enough of either one, and we have to demand it. And as a leader, we have to make sure we give it to the teams around us to create that foundation, because that opportunity and positive support, when you put it together, amazing what people can accomplish.
Yeah. I wonder if there's a little bit of magic between being vulnerable, to be open-minded, to allow that improv, because you have to be a little silly and outside of your normal comfort zone. And then you get the support. There's just like this magical formula happening, and it's a lot of fun.
And when you're having fun, you realize you're in that play mode, and you kind of revert to your true self. And that fun brings out a lot of energy and inspiration and creativity. And you're a better leader, and you're a better communicator, and you're a better teammate because you're having fun. And one of the key elements of fun is that you're very present. You're present with what's happening around you. You're present with the people that you're with. And in improv, we call that being in the moment. And when you're in the moment, you're at your best as a communicator, as an innovator, as a leader, as a teammate. And we want to have more of those times where we're present in the moment with the people around us. And that's an element of fun, because we're so present. We're having fun and we're present with each other. And that allows that fun to happen.
Well, thanks for being present today on the show and having fun with me and everybody. How should people find you?
This is a good rehearsal. Have we started recording yet?
I forgot to push it.
Yeah. No. I felt like this was just kind of like a recap.
That was great. Rehearsal. How should people find you? Because I feel like people need to have you in the room.
It's just my website, joelzeff.com. Pretty easy. JOELZEFF.com. LinkedIn. I love to connect on LinkedIn. That's my favorite social media at the moment. Pretty easy to find me on LinkedIn. You can follow me on Facebook. Again, Joel Zeff.
What's that book behind you?
This is my book.
What is that over there?
This is my book, Make the Right Choice, Creating a Positive, Innovative, and Productive Work Life. If you want to check it out, Amazon is a great way to get your copy. And it just basically follows most of my messages from my keynote in just a little more detail with some ideas and tips and things that I've learned along the way that could hopefully help leaders or anybody on the team find success, create that energy, be more present in the moment, stay in the game, create opportunity, positive support, and like we talked about, react to change in a positive way.
Well, thanks for being here today. I love being able to hang out with you again.
This all happened because we ran into each other.
Bumped into you.
At a party. Right?
That was a great party too.
The evening party at the MDRT conference. And so you just never know where those moments happen.
Community's key. I mean, but make it a point to go connect with people if you want to have that interaction. And so I try to do that with the people that I find interesting, and you are one of them. So thank you.
It's my pleasure, Amber. I'm excited. It was a great conversation. And anytime we got to play the harmonica and we talked about lots of fun stuff.
Well, we're going to link up where to find you in the description box and get your book on there. And I can't wait to check it out. So thank you for being on the show today, Joel.
Thank you, Amber. And to all of Amber's listeners and viewers, this is probably the best podcast.
The best.
I'm just saying, this is probably the best podcast in the history of all podcasts.
Grammarly would have removed probably.
No, I'm saying it.
It is.
If I say probably, it's true. Right?
Yeah.
You can put this on one of your promotions. The Amber Stitt Show, probably the greatest podcast in the history of podcasts. My name is Joel Zeff. Boom.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of The Amber Stitt Show. For more information about the podcast, books, articles, and more, please visit me at amberstitt.com. Until next week, enjoy your journey at home and at work. Thank you for listening.